There and welcome to Iron Pod, which is proudly brought to you by West Blue Consulting, Ghana Oil Company Limited, and Ghana Community Network, that is GCNet. The proud media partner for this program is the Business as well as Financial Times. People, the past couple of days has been very sad one for the port community. The entire port community hasn't been easy for anyone within the port industry at all, and I'm sure that even nationally the past few days hasn't been too good, and that's because of a very sad incident and sad event that happened to all of us, the entire nation, and for some of us who are pretty close in here around the port and maritime industry, it's been terrible for us to soak this particular issue. We will be talking about that pretty shortly, even before we hit the break. In the meantime, though, the year 2019 has begun and has begun in earnest for the port and maritime industry, as stakeholders have begun working assiduously to ensure that all the challenges that we had within the port industry in the year 2018, we will not see them in this year 2019 and in the years to come. Now, one of those challenges, difficulties that the port industry was confronted with, and particularly Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority and the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority were confronted with, is the issue of cargo diversion. Now, when people bring in goods into this country, instead of paying duties on them so that the country will make some monies for development for all of us, they choose to brand those goods as meant for the transit countries. That way they don't pay duties on them, because goods meant for the transit countries do not attract duties in this country. So they deliberately say that these goods are meant for Burkina Faso, Mali or Niger, or even going to Togo. Then, whilst on their way, they divert those goods into the Ghanaian market, having swerved the duties on those goods. Ghana Revenue Authority, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Ghana Shippers Authority, and all the stakeholders say this year will be different.
The Ghana Revenue Authority, in collaboration with the Ghana Shippers Authority, has held a seminar for stakeholders in the maritime trade and transport industry in Accra. The seminar was aimed at streamlining processes for the growth of transit trade in Ghana. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonita Bismarck, urged the port community to address teething issues such as the new measures for transit tracking, transit process flow, transit vehicle registration, transit insurance requirements, and licensing of freight forwarders for transit trade, and the concept of first port duty rule that will engage the attention of the industry in 2019.
These interventions that are being contemplated have far-reaching implications for our next steps as an industry, and it's important that all stakeholders pay keen attention to the issues. With this assembly of key stakeholders, I have no doubt that all the issues will be succinctly articulated, well taken note of, and adequately responded to where necessary.
While lauding the port expansion program to accommodate more shipping lines at the country's ports, Benonita Bismarck called for the collaboration of all state agencies to curb diversion of transit cargo.
We all have an obligation thrust on us by a plethora of international conventions and regional treaties to which Ghana is a signatory, and we need to ensure that our actions or inaction does not compromise this obligation. We are called to walk a narrow path of trade facilitation and revenue assurance. Any misstep will dim our chances of benefiting from this trade.
The Commissioner of the Customs Division, Ghana Revenue Authority, Isaac Krenzel, said his outfit is ready to ensure the smooth and successful operation of the transit trade for effective customs control towards achieving the dual objective of revenue assurance and trade facilitation.
Insurance requirements and bonds are being reviewed. 3. Agents who will qualify to engage in the transit trade operations will prove to the acceptance of custom the existence of offices along the transit routes and on the exit point of the goods. 4. Transporters who would engage in the transportation of transit goods will have to be registered as required by customs and recommended by their mother organization.
Isaac Krenzel said Ghana would see high tax growth on transit trade when all the fraudulent transactions at the ports are put to stop.
When government gets all the revenue to the state, then it will be able to improve our ports to receive more cargo from abroad, including transit cargo. This will mean more transit businesses can take place and more money gained by the port authorities from the fees and other charges involved. Mr. Chairman, maximum state revenue enables the government to improve our rules for smooth and safe transportation of transit goods.
The Commissioner General of the GRA, Emmanuel Kofi Nti, said GRA's focus is to strengthen processes for the growth of transit trade in the country in 2019. He said the President's agenda of moving Ghana beyond aid could be achieved if all the revenue leakages were sealed and revenues due the states collected.
The object that the President has set for himself and for all of us, Ghana beyond aid. It means that each and every single revenue that is due the state must come to the state. And so the transit route should not be used as a way of preventing the state having the revenue it needs.
The Deputy Minister for Transport, Daniel Titus Glover, charged the various state agencies at the country's ports to be alert and halt individuals and syndicates evading taxes.
This year is an action year. The transit trade is promoting revenue generation for our country. It is creating jobs for our citizenry, both here and wherever they are going to discharge this cargo. So if anybody is caught from the customs, you all know yourselves. The customs people, the national security, all those players, we know you all. But we'll betide anybody that is found to have supported, aided, to evade tax.
He assured of government's commitment to implement policies that would aid in increasing revenue generation and asked the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to continue providing escort for transit cargo while tracking devices monitor them for safe delivery to the country of destination.
The Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority says government is about to implement a particular policy called the First Port Rule, which will allow even the transit nations pay their duties in Ghana as soon as their cargoes arrive in Ghana. That way nobody would have some reason of a sort to say that they are swerving the duties. A lot of talks are ongoing along this line, the pros and cons of this particular policy, all of that. The deliberations have been taking place, and this particular conference was held at the Ghana Shippers Authority conference room to discuss some of the pros and cons of this upcoming policy.
The Commissioner of the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Isaac Crenshaw, has stated that since the assumption of office of the MPP government in January 2017, several taxes have been reduced in order to reduce the cost of doing business in the country's ports. During the stakeholders' engagement on how to improve the transit trade, the customs boss said government has reduced the benchmark values so as to bring relief to traders. He wondered that, despite all the reduction of taxes, people still find it possible to divert cargo meant for the transit countries onto the Ghanaian market.
Because government want that cost of doing business to come down, you realize that you remove some of the taxes that you call nuisance taxes. You remove it. In order to ensure that still cost of doing business was also down, you also reduce the benchmark values. You have reduced it 3 times, but still people are complaining. I can assure you that government is also looking into it and how best probably to look at some of these rates.
During the stakeholders seminar, further deliberations ensued on the pending First Port Rule initiative that would have customs duty on transit cargo to be paid on arrival at Ghana's ports before leaving for their final destinations. Currently, transit goods are duty-free in Ghana, and importers of such goods are only obliged to pay duty on them at the country of destination. Issues were raised as to the malfunctioning of the tracking devices operated by GCNet. By the product development manager at GCNet, Carl Saki said, GCNet is procuring 1,500 new tracking devices to monitor the movement of transit cargoes.
When we sit here and we say we have 1,500 devices, we have 1,500 devices. Let me just explain the dynamics to you. In a day, you route about 100 sub-consignments. And so if you have 1,500 devices, clearly then you should actually look at where each of the vehicles are and the length of time it takes them to get to the country. Then you rotate them. And that's why I made the point that We have those in circulation. We have a certain number, about 800 that's gone for repairs and maintenance, and we are buying 1,000 devices.
The Commissioner of Customs, Isaac Krenzel, stated that the implementation of the First Port Rule will enable Ghana secure its due revenue, especially on cargoes that are unlawfully diverted back onto the Ghanaian market without paying duty.
All that we is changing is that money will pay at the destination country so that diversion will be minimized. Because when you pay money of the duty, there is no motivation for you to divert it in Ghana. There is no thing. But when you divert, you get you. This time, we won't seize the goods, we will punish you by way of prison.
He advised that interventions introduced by governments to recover the needed revenue for the state would in turn create a business-friendly atmosphere in the country for traders. The Customs Commissioner also revealed that his outfit intends to filter the number of freight forwarders who conduct transit business to a reputable number. He said this aims to cut down the menace from the perspective of freight forwarding.
And we want to register not more than 30 people, so they will be able to handle the sense of it. We are not taking anybody's business. But what we are saying in best practice is that all other countries, they have selected few who does or who do transit business, and that's what we want to do. And the requirement is that one, those freight forwarders must have offices at the exit point. You must have it. We are talking about network.
Esther Jebidonko, General Manager, Marketing and Corporate Affairs of GPHA, echoed the concerns raised by importers with regards to the First Port Rule to make Ghana's corridor unattractive as compared to competing ports who do not implement the system.
Being the ports worry that our competitors are not into First Port Rule, and once we start that without them, obviously we are going to lose cargo. There's no automatic guarantee. In fact, the fact that they were told, their customs, especially the Burkina base, the fact that they were just informed that this is going to be implemented, some of them have started leaving. So it has been a worry for the port.
Executives of the Transport Union solicited for the sole mandate of providing trucks and registered drivers for transit carriage in order to be responsible for the curbing of the menace of cargo diversion.
So, we, the transport owners, we say you should give us this responsibility. If you want truck for transit, come to our registered unions. We are ready to take responsibility of this problem. You just go to the union and request truck for transit goods. They are there to supervise the truck up to the destination. We have been doing it.
In addressing these concerns, the Commissioner of Customs said interactions are ongoing with other ports to liaise towards robust customs control. He also added that there is an able communication system in place between customs administrators in Ghana and those in transit countries. He said no one will be denied warehousing facility by the First Port Rule because the Destination Customs Administration would assist in communicating which goods are eligible for warehousing.
If you get authority from the Destination Customs Administration that the people have qualified to have warehousing facility in their country, all that they do is to alert us through the interconnectivity, and then we will sell the goods and then let it move to their warehouse. You want to leave the burden of payment and other customs control on the destination customs officers.
The Commissioner of Customs revealed that the GRA is going to ensure adequate capacity is provided to support the implementation of the First Port Rule. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Shippers Authority, Benonetta Bismarck, entreated the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority to always engage stakeholders before the implementation of its policies.
For 2019, should you decide to put in place any policies, you will inform the stakeholders, educate and sensitize. Let there be a buy-in before we do so. At the end of it, it's a reflection on them, it's a reflection on us, and it's a reflection on Ghana, because we need revenue to grow the country. That is what the president wants to do.
So with all the warnings going on there, now be surprised that you, if you're an importer and you're still thinking of diverting cargoes into the Ghanaian market after you yourself has declared them that they are meant for the transit nations of Mali, Burkina Faso or Niger or even Togo right here. Because the sort of pressure that the agencies are going to put on this particular activity this year, you have no idea. The BNI, the National Security, Customs, the police, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, they are coming at you like a kite. You have no idea. You don't need to venture, folks. It wouldn't be a good thing for you 2019 if that's your thinking. Folks, let me move away from that particular issues of policy and of concern as we have begun the year 2019. But the year 2019 in the port industry hasn't been smooth. Just beginning it just about 2 weeks ago. The past couple of days, those of us in the port industry, particularly some of us on port, those in this team, we've been hit heavily by a big blow that you have no idea. Now, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority has two main ports. That's the Port of Takoradi, the Port of Tema, and the regulatory administration is the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority corporate body. So the administration, that is the GPHA, oversees the activities of the Takoradi Port as well as the Tema Port. The Takoradi Port has its own management. The Tema Port has its own management. Takoradi Port has a director that's in the person of Mr. Ebenezer Afedzi. The Tema Port has its own director that is in the person of Mr. Edward Kofi Osei. And then the overall man who oversees both ports together is the Director General who is at the headquarters, and that's Mr. Michael Luguje. So these two ports, having their own managers, they obviously have their own public relations as well as marketing managers. In the port of Takoradi, there is a marketing and public affairs manager there. And then in the port of Tema, there is a marketing and public affairs manager. At the headquarters, there is a public marketing and corporate affairs manager. And there is a general manager for marketing and corporate affairs who has supervisory powers over that of Takoradi and that of Tema. But in the past couple of days, people, the marketing and public affairs manager of Tema Port, some very wicked individuals decided that she doesn't have to live with us anymore. And you'll be surprised if I show you this lady, and I'm about to do that, and see how wonderful she is and how wonderful she's lived with almost everybody around her. For us at Ion Port, we just share next door office with her, and almost every morning she checks on the entire team before she enters her office. Before she leaves and goes home, she checks on every member of the team before she does that. Now that's how sweet Josephine Asante is. Mrs. Now somebody decides that she doesn't have to live with us anymore. How sad. But a lot of people do, you know, I've gotten a lot of calls. People are asking, who is Josephine Asante? Where does she work? And a lot of people confuse them with other managers as well. So we decided to unveil Jo to you. And if you get to look at her and see her and listen to her in some of the work she has done in the port, then you will agree with me that life is just unfair.
We are going, heaven knows where we are going. We know the name.
The late Josephine Asante was employed at the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority in May 2003 as a private secretary to the then Director General of the Port Authority, Ben Ousumensa. At the Port of Tema, Mrs. Asante had worked as a public relations officer at the Golden Jubilee Terminal and at the Tema Fishing Harbour. In the year 2012, Mrs. Josephine Asante was transferred to the Welfare Department as a Principal Welfare Officer, where she served the Port Authority until she was elevated to become the Marketing and Public Affairs Manager in charge of Tema Port in 2017. Mrs. Josephine Asante attended the Holy Child Girls Senior High School at Cape Coast in the Central Region. She then furthered her tertiary education at the University of Ghana, Legon. In the course of her professional life, she undertook port management programs in Australia. No one encounters Jo, as she is affectionately called, without noticing her composed demeanor and a high sense sense of professionalism to which she goes about her duties. Jo undertook a number of landmark assignments as marketing and public affairs manager of the nation's largest port, the Tema Port, including organizing a major cleanup exercise called Mofiamo, where she received a number of assistance and donations from corporate bodies and individuals to ensure a cleaned and organized port environment.
We know how important it is for us to keep a clean port.
She facilitated the presentation of two 40-footer containers donated by Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to the Ghana Education Service.
On behalf of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, we are happy to present to you two 40-footer containers for your officers.
On 14th December 2018, Josephine mobilized all stakeholders and facilitated the Port Advisory Committee meeting, where a number of critical issues confronting the port industry were discussed. At the recently organized Joint Customs Consultative Forum, Josephine raised very important issues that challenged the port industry and requiring urgent attention. Josephine Asante was very visible at the recently organized media encounter with the senior editors by the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority in Accra. On 3rd December 2018, Jo decided to treat her boss, the director of the Port of Tema, Edward Kofi Osei, with a special birthday cake as the entire team celebrated the excellent leadership of the Port of Tema boss, Edward Kofi Osei. Unfortunately, Saturday, the 12th of January, would be Mrs. Josephine Asante's last assignment undertaking at the port, just a day before her untimely departure on earth. Mrs. Josephine Asante was part of the organizing committee that put together a spectacular dinner dance for all senior staff and management of the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority to celebrate the previous year 2018 and forge ahead into a successful 2019. It is reported that Jo took the best of pictures at this dinner dance and danced her heels off. Just by the morning of Sunday, January 13th, this beautiful, adoring, vibrant, calm, friendly, and gentle soul departed from the land of the living in a very painful and sad manner that cannot be comprehended by any stretch of human imagination. Filled with kind heart, her support for the Iron Port team has been profuse. As a next-door neighbor at the office, Josephine checks on the Iron Port team every day when she arrives at work and does same before leaving office for her home. She's kind enough to share all her important moments with the Iron Port team. Her recent birthday on 15th August 2018 was one of such important and memorable times we shared together with our senior colleague, Jo Asante. For the entire Iron Port team, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, and I believe on behalf of the entire nation, it is our prayer that God will find eternal peace and rest for the gentle soul of Mrs. Josephine Asante. She will forever be remembered.
So that elegant lady you saw in that piece there, that friendly lady, that calm lady, that professional lady you saw in that video there has been eliminated from the land of the living by someone who thinks that he has the power to take human life, and for apparent or no reason according to us. Nobody can just understand why an individual would decide that such a sweet person just should be eliminated from the surface of the earth. But that has been done. Josephine Asante, as sweet as she is no longer with us. Now, you may have seen in that video that when she turned 49 just in August, she asked me to tell her staff how old she was. And I thought, and I told almost all of them that she's just 29 because that's how she looks. She doesn't even look the 49. So as premature as that, somebody says it's about time Josephine goes to her makeup. How sad. But a lot of us, particularly those of us who have been close to Jo, feels that justice is needed. Justice is needed for Jo, and not just for Jo, for her spouse, for her children, for her friends, for her family, for her colleagues, and for all the people who love and have encountered Josephine. Justice needs to be served. Justice definitely needs to be served on Josephine. For that matter, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority says, listen, If you want to assist the authority, bring justice to Joe, and bring fairness in the land of the living, please provide any information you know that will lead to the arrest and the conviction of whoever did that heinous act to Josephine that sent her to Emeka prematurely. They said if you're able to do that, 50,000 Ghana cedis is what they are going to give you. It doesn't mean that 50,000 Ghana cedis is what Josephine is worth. She's never worth any amount of money that I can think of ever since I started encountering Joe. So no money can be enough, but at least you can help. If you have any information on whoever did or committed that heinous crime, please, your authority needs your assistance.
Heaven knows where we are going. We know the name.
The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is offering a bounty of 50,000 Ghana cedis to anyone who provides the police with information that leads to the arrest of the murderer or murderess of one of the authority's managers, Mrs. Josephine Asante. Prior to her gruesome murder, Mrs. Josephine Asante was the Marketing and Public Affairs Manager of the Port of Tema. Reports of a horrific murder was shockingly received by the Port Authority in the early hours of Sunday, 13th January 2019 at her MF Estate residence in Afienya, a suburb of the Greater Accra region. So far, the Tema Regional Police Command is undertaking investigations into the horrendous killing of our colleague. The Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority will therefore like to assure the general public that it will engage all resources available to ensure that the perpetrators of the heinous crime are apprehended and made to face the full rigors of the laws of the country. Thus, the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority is committed to assisting and hastening the investigative processes of the police by offering the above stated amount as a reward for any person or persons or group that will provide the first meaningful information to the police which will lead to the arrest and conviction of the murderer or murderess of Mrs. Josephine Asante. Therefore, anyone with such information may contact the Tema Region Criminal Investigations Department on the following: 0244 942 144 or 0244 536056 or 0299 200147 or email them at tr.pro@police.gov.gh tr.pro@police.gov.gh. You may also contact the Afienya District Police Command on 0244 724 932. We at Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority would like to express our sincere appreciation to the general public and the nation for your support in these trying times as we mourn the untimely departure of one of our distinguished managers who has served the authority with dedication, commitment and professionalism. We will therefore take the opportunity to urge the public to remain calm and engage the matter with some level of circumspection out of respect for the deceased Mrs. Josephine Asante, her spouse, children, relations, friends, and colleagues, while allowing the law enforcement agencies to take control of the situation. Signed, Acting Director General, Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, Michael A. Luguje.
If you have any information regarding whoever committed that heinous crime against Josephine and all of us as a nation, please inform the police and see the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority for that 50,000 Ghana cedis if indeed that person gets convicted for murdering Josephine Asante in cold blood. On that sad note, Iron Port returns after the break.
Hello? Good morning, this is Samantha Wendy. I am sending a purchase order from SA2 Ventures International. Our policy for new supplies is 2 containers to start with, but you must deliver within 30 days.
Don't worry at all. I'm going to get you the 4 containers within 30 days or less. Bye.
To get his pineapple slices from his country to his clients overseas, Mr. Appiah and his representatives have to complete a number of regulatory compliance procedures to various international trade stakeholders. single window, Mr. Appiah has completed all his international trade procedures through one portal. He has registered his company information, applied for the necessary permit, certificates and licenses, and all that remains is for him to get a text alert for clearance and movement of goods. And that's how simple facilitating international trade could be in a single window environment. You can offer competitive services to your trading partners in China, America, even here in a simpler, faster, and cost-effective way. Single window, the only way to Ghana's economic growth is in our hands.
Here's innovation from GOIL that takes you further. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and GOIL has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New GOIL Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. GOIL. Good energy.
Welcome back. Still watching Eye on Port, and we'll bring you some port news.
The foremost oil marketing company in the country, GOIL, says the year 2019 will be used to focus on customer service delivery. The head of fuels marketing at GOIL, Marcus Diodake, in an interview said GOIL will also ensure that customers get value for their money.
We are automating our stations. So now we have what we call the retail automation system, where you don't have human intervention in fixing prices. You know, prices are fixed remotely. And also we have the tank gauging system, where we ensure that whatever quantity that is going through the pump is the same quantity that is coming from the tanks. So all these measures are being put in place to ensure that our customers get value for money.
In order to service customers with quality fuel, he said, GOIL's quality assurance team has been going around service stations across the country to take samples of fuel to test in order to ensure that they are of the approved standard levels. Marcus Dake said, GOIL cherishes its customers so much so that it has dedicated the year 2019 for good customer service relations across all its service stations.
2019, our focus is going to be on customer service. We want to deliver service to customers, not only products. In fact, now we are selling service. So we are going to see various activities aimed at improving the service delivery of our retail outlets.
Cyprus-flagged container ship CSL Virginia, which sustained a significant gash to its hull in a collision last year, has been sold for demolition in Bangladesh. The ship, renamed Virgin Star, was sold on December 21, 2018, according to the data from vessel valuation agency Vessels Value, fetching a price of $488 per light displacement ton. The overall demolition value of the ship, according to VV, is $9.55 million. The African News Agency is reporting that South African authorities have confiscated 706 kilos of cocaine hidden at the bottom of a 30-story container ship in the port of Ngwara, Koiga Harbour. Estimated street value of the contraband, which was concealed below more than 3,669 containers, is 720 million rand, which is equivalent of $51 million. The name of the vessel in question was not disclosed. The drugs stored in 60 containers were seized on Monday, January 7th. The ship, however, was allowed to resume its voyage, as it has been determined that neither the crew nor the ship owner were involved in the drug trafficking. There have been no arrests made in relation with the case. The drugs were sniffed out by a drug detection canine as part of a joint operation of the Directorate of Priority Crime, Hawks, and Interpol. As informed, the drugs originated from Brazil and were destined for India. According to a report from the International Maritime Bureau, piracy increased on the world seas in 2018, with a marked rise in attacks against ships and crews around West Africa. Worldwide, the IMB Piracy and Reporting Center recorded 201 incidents of maritime piracy and armed robbery in 2018, up from 180 in 2017. The Gulf of Guinea remained increasingly dangerous for seafarers as reports of attacks in waters between the Ivory Coast and the Democratic Republic of Congo more than doubled in 2018.
Schedules of vessels that are sitting in the port, those at anchorage, those also expected in the coming week, plus the Bank of Ghana exchange rate are all next on your screens. That's it for this sad edition of Iron Port, and on behalf of Iron Port, we will wish the entire family and friends, relations and colleagues of Mrs. Josephine Asante deepest condolences, and continue to pray that the Lord God himself will provide her a very restful and peaceful stay wherever she finds herself. Thank you for watching Iron Port, and also thanks to the entire crew who supported the program. See you next week.